そうだね。その通りだよ、マリアベル。我らロッツォが支配する箱庭に何人たりとも介入は許さん。
世界はロッツォのために。
世界はロッツォのために。
All right, my friends. So here we are, episode number 6 of Slime Anime, and another episode of exposition. Okay. This episode introduced the Rozos, essentially, basically like the merchants that Rimuru is having investigated, and the merchants that Hinata had investigated. Like they're big players in the overall atmosphere here of setting up everything that's coming, and they are back-end players, which means that they are also trying to, much like Yuki, they're trying to kind of puppeteer things in their way. One of the goals of the Rozos here that we're being introduced to is get King Edward, the brother, get the brother who is newly appointed in their debt so they can manipulate and puppeteer him later on. And they're the ones that are like this big back-end family, and they have a red-haired girl who thinks that she could just go and casually take on a Diablo or anybody, right? So I want to stop there and just let you guys know, like, hey, I'm a big proponent and I'm a big believer. If it's your first time here on the channel, clicking on episode 6, hey, what's up? I'm Dom from the Otaku Room. Hit subscribe. I'm a big believer in calling a spade, and where I'm going to go with that is I want to be very clear. I do not mind a ton of exposition. I do not mind a ton of dialogue. I do not mind a ton of contextual episodes. But here's where my problem lies with this is there's two avenues for what the Slime anime has been doing to be really successful. Avenue 1 is you're only absorbing and watching Slime anime, right? You're only watching Tensura as your primary source of entertainment. And the reason that's important is because that allows you, when you're trying to follow along with the things that are occurring, if it's your primary source of entertainment and you're not watching other shows, you're not reading another book, when it's your primary source, you're able to easily follow along. You're able to remember the names. You remember Maribel and Rozo and Uncle this and Claire about that and blah, blah, blah. And you're able to be like, oh, yeah. Because that's the only thing you're watching. So that's avenue 1. The second avenue is binging this show and being able to easily follow along later. Now, you might be built different than me. For me, I watch 10 to 20 anime a season, and my biggest struggle bus is remembering everybody's name, remembering the little intricacies, remembering those little things can sometimes be a little daunting. It can be a little hard, even for somebody who reviews anime, and I really get into the nitty-gritty, it can be daunting and hard. And those are the two avenues, is the binge watcher, which is the preferred method for what they're trying to pull off here. And then the other person is, this is all they watch. If you're like me, which you probably are, in the middle, what ends up happening is we're 6 episodes into, contextual exposition. And what's going to be really cool is eventually once the train leaves the station and it's moving, right? There's going to be cool little call outs to episode 2, episode 3, episode 6, right? The Rozos are going to come back in. That thing that Yuki has, said to Laplace at this, it's all going to start coming. It's all going to start working. But what happens more often than not is, unless you're rewatching these episodes or unless you have like a photogenic memory, what ends up happening is a thing happens, and because we are 7, 8, 9 weeks removed from that last episode, it's like you just don't remember. And you're like, oh, that's a cool thing that happened, but you don't get that the intricacies of the web that, if you follow the web back, it actually comes back to episode 2, minute 12, this very specific thing that happened. You're like, whoa! That's where my issues kind of lie with the season so far, is not that they're talking too much, not that it's boring. Not that I have a problem with exposition. I don't. I generally really love a good 1 or 2 episodes of exposition, and then let's get things moving. And then let's pause again for more exposition, more context, and let's get moving again. The bad side of having 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes of dialogue and exposition, what I would call as like setup, because they're setting up a lot of stuff. Right, they're setting up, they're setting up the plan with Falmouth. This episode, Diablo's plans went awry. We're resetting once again to Diablo taking over. We're setting up again, facing off against 30,000 soldiers. Okay, we're gonna take Benny Maru's forces. We're gonna take his secondary force. We're gonna take Xi'an's force, and Xi'an's force is actually gonna go take on these 100, saintly folks over here. Then we're going to have Gapta's group, go along with Benny Maru's group. And you're going to have these forces kind of, take them on over here. We're going to have Xi'an's group go over here with 100. We're going to have Benny Maru's, third force, follow along and support them. Okay, now we're going to have the Beastkind. The Beastkind are going to go along over here. So it's like they're setting up a lot of different things that are going to happen. Then the great sage is telling, Rimuru this episode, more than likely Hinata just wants to talk. Okay, so then no killing, right? Unless if it's killed or be killed, but otherwise no killing. So let's go talk to Hinata. All right, then we've established all these little plans, and Diablo or the dragon, our boy, staying behind. You know what I mean? All that's fine. Okay, so now we have the secondary portion of it. And the secondary portion is the Rozos and them trying to manipulate and them trying to use these merchants and them trying to kill Hinata. And then their secondary mission after that is kill Rimuru because he's going to be, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, okay, all of this is fine. But then we have to recall, okay, we have last week's episode in episode 5 and the little intricate details that happened last episode. Then we have to remember episode 4, little intricate details that happened in episode 4. So I think the preferred way for this to have full enjoyment, again, is it's either this is all you're watching, or I think, honestly, this season, it'll be most beneficial to you and to me after we're done watching the season to go back and just binge watch, maybe when the dub finishes, binge watch everything, and things are just going to start making, a ton of sense. And what's even better when you binge watch is when all, 12 episodes or whatever it's going to be, 24 episodes are done. Like when you're watching, 8 episodes of exposition, 7 episodes of context, well, you immediately move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So you have these, 24 episodes. You have, call it 6 hours of content, but you did it all in one sitting. So instead of having to remember something that happened 2 months ago, all you have to do is remember something that happened 2 hours ago, and it becomes a much more enjoyable experience. So I hope that I'm making sense. I love this season of Slime. I think it's fantastic so far. I love the dialogue. I like getting context to, certain things that are occurring with Yuki. I like this episode giving us context into what, why do we keep talking about these merchants like they're hot shit? Well, they are hot shit. We have this other family that apparently is super uber powerful underground shit that's coming into play. And you have the merchants over here that they're the dark merchants. They're the ones that, they are the dark underbelly of the current. It's like, okay, that's all cool. And then we have this creepy granddaughter girl, you know what I mean? Like she just sitting on a lap like a puppet. All right, that's creepy as shit. So we have these really cool things that are happening. So I do love it quite a bit. It's just I have to admit to everybody, including you and everybody else, that, I'm sure there's a lot of folks watching right now like you, or specifically me, who, it's like, okay, like I have to really my left quart over here of the brain's got to go extra work to remember, okay, what's that one thing that okay, that's that one thing that, okay, what's this girl's name? Oh, they introduced her so quick, I don't know what her name is. Annabelle Mirabelle, blah, 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 whatever. Girl with the snaggle tooth. It's like you have to remember these things. So that's kind of where I'm at so far. This episode I thought was good. It was a good episode. I wouldn't say like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. I think it was like, a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. I could definitely sympathize with those people, empathize with those people who are like, yo, this is boring. I definitely understand that a lot of folks who are big fans of slime may want something a little different out of this season. I think we'll get there. I think right now we're just having to deal with the My Hero training arc, and then that next half it gonna be litty. It gonna be lit. I just think we have to suffer through them doing a lot of setup, a lot of explaining on who's dealing with this and who's this underbelly there and who's this, you know. So, yeah, I think if you're bored right now, though, I think the best play that I can offer, stop, let it all stack up, and just watch it when it ends, and I think you'll probably have a greater experience. But anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts. I talked way damn long. See you guys next week, my friends. Episode 7 about to be lit. Saint versus the demon. Let's go, baby. All right, peace out.